Okay, great. We are live on Facebook, so hello to everybody out there. Hello to our members. Just to let you know, in this video, what we're going to do is cover three things. We are going to let you know about a CPD opportunity, a series that we're going to be running for our members at Smart School Councils for the rest of the term. We're going to get an update from one of our fantastic teachers in Manchester about some really interesting developments they've had with pupil voice in their school. And then thirdly, we're going to talk to you a bit more about Home Debate Club, which is our exciting new project, and what we've been up to this week. And we're going to be joined by a teacher in South Wales who's going to talk to us about their views on Home Debate Club. And yes, Andrea, the technology is winning today, which is excellent. So thank you for letting us know. That's what we're going to get up to today. But if we've never met before, my name is Sam. I am head of programs at Smart School Councils, and we are sort of trying to spend all of our energy at the moment helping our members, as well as working on our new home-based pupil voice tech. Greg, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi guys, I'm Greg, one of the founders at Smart School Councils. Lovely to see you all, and good luck, Sam, with helping us all be able to speak today, all four of us. And yeah, it's nice to be joined by our two guests. So hi guys.
Great. So Nick, do you want to just introduce yourself? Tell us which school you're from.
Yeah, my name's Nicola Knowles and I'm from Loretto High School in Manchester.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Nick. We're looking forward to talking to you in a little while. And then secret heads up to everybody watching out there, our last and final guest also happens to be my mother. But there's a reason for that. She is a fantastic teacher with lots of experience in senior leadership. So yeah, Mum, please introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm Tracy Evans and I teach in the only primary school left in the Rhondda Valley, and that's Tom Pentre Primary.
Right, great. I will try not to make this too much of an Evans love-in, I promise. But it's great to have Mum joining to talk a little bit about how she's been helping us with Home Debate Club. So, yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. But it would be great to know how you guys are doing out there as well, just to make sure we've set everything up properly. I can see some hellos from various people, but if you could, yeah, drop us a quick message to let us know you're out there and you're listening. Let's try what we did last week, which was if you've been digitally teaching this week, let us know how you've been getting on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being not very good at all, 5 being it's going really, really well. Yeah, let us know, and we'd love to see that and see your comments coming through. I think, Greg, you're going to be in charge of the comments, aren't you? And sort of shouting out questions and responding to them if they come through. Is that right?
I will do my best, yeah. So we haven't got no ratings so far. So maybe it's been such a good week that it's beyond 5, or it's been so bad that it's lower than 1. But as soon as we get some ratings, I mean, maybe our two teachers here could tell us how they've got on this week.
Yeah, let's give an open call. Let's go, Nick. Have you been doing much digital teaching? Like, how are you supporting your students at the moment?
I have, yes, and we've been using knowledge organisers and setting quizzes. I've been setting some more in-depth work for year 10. I have to say that I'm only getting about 30% back at the moment, which is a little bit dispiriting. But, you know, the work that I've had back has been of good quality, but yeah, it's not enough yet.
Why do you think that is, Nick? Is there something you can put your finger on?
I think some IT issues for some pupils I've heard about, but I'm just kind of concerned that there are lots of pupils at home who are not in routines of working. You know, I've got people in year, well, my son is in year 9, and I know how we organise our day in terms of, you know, it's kind of starting at 9, he works to lunch, and I just worry that that's not happening across the board in terms of, you know, like many children in one household and things.
Yeah, sure. That makes sense. I'm going to call you Tracy, if that's all right. Tracy and I were talking about this before we started, about how it's not yet clear sort of who's being disadvantaged most at home right now in terms of the support they're getting from parents, or from the way in which they would sort of what you'd normally expect in schools. But yeah, it's really interesting. We have had a bit more response now. Dawn says 5. So they're having a great week at Bransley Primary School. That's really cool. Yeah, well done for you guys. Sarah Jane's sort of letting us know as well that they're calling children every week and setting work online. Oh, really interesting. So about 30% of theirs is getting back as well, Nick. So very similar to what you were saying. And I think, Tracy, you're doing sort of dojo chats with your parents, aren't you, to check in how they're doing?
That's right, on a daily basis. Our staff are working incredibly hard trying to contact all children who haven't contacted us. And our school liaison officer this week has phoned 220 children. So I think that's pretty good going in a week to engage with them. Much the same. We've encouraged our children when there's good weather to get out and to enjoy nature and to try and explore the outside and get lots of exercise. When the clouds are covering or the rain is there, as it often is in Wales, we get a lot more response about online teaching. We're using the Welsh Hub and Google Classroom as a lot of our platforms, as well as Class Dojo. And majority of people really accessing well, some days better than other days.
Yeah, no, very much so. That's really interesting. Thanks, Tracy. Yeah, some interesting comments there from Richard as well. Sort of 4, so definitely a mixed bag for how it's going at home. But I wonder if, Greg, we can get even more comments if I ask this question. On a scale of 1 to 5, how much are you out there looking forward to a long weekend? Because it's a 5 from me. Definitely. I don't know what anybody else on the panel. I'm going to call you the panel, by the way. That sounds good, doesn't it? 5 as well. Yeah. Definitely looking forward to a long weekend. Although a bit of, Evans family news. I did miss my mum's birthday this week, didn't I, Mum?
Yes, you did. But I
tough.
had a full gift and a nice Zoom conversation with cocktails, so that was nice.
There we go. Well, there's a lot of 5s I can see there. Sarah Jane, yes, please. Yeah, no, couldn't agree with you more. All right, guys. Well, thank you for that bit of interaction, which is good to know that you're out there and you're listening. Let's get into the meat of what we're going to talk about then, so that we don't spend too long. So the first thing that Greg and I are going to talk to you about sort of really very quickly is the online CPD that we want to share with you guys, that we're going to be running as Smart School Councils over the rest of the summer term. We're constantly looking at ways that we can try and support our members, and that we know very obviously that a lot of our planning for when normality returns, in quotation marks, isn't really going to come into effect until September. So what Greg and I thought we would do is try and run a series of online, free to access CPD training that's going to be helping you guys to get set up again and be as great as you possibly can be with pupil voice and inclusion for September. So I'm going to share with you some of the dates and the titles we've got for some of the CPD. But before I do that, Greg, was there anything you want to add into our new series that people can hopefully book onto today?
I guess just to say we're just trying to kind of respond to what's happening at the moment, and to try and give our member teachers just sort of bite-sized chunks of CPD that would be useful to them. So yeah, and I guess what we're trying to do is to understand how that kind of best meets your needs, really. So rather than us just kind of dream up just a kind of list, is there particular things that would be helpful for you? I guess both for new members, but also for pupils, for teachers who are established too.
Thanks, Greg. Yeah, so I've just put on the screen some sort of working examples of dates and the type of content that we'd like to cover in the training. Hopefully you can read it. If you can't see it so well, I'll read them out to you anyway. So we've got titles like sort of a teacher's perspective on running a Smart School Council. Hopefully that one's going to be led by an expert teacher from a primary school and an expert teacher from a secondary school, those who have a sort of experienced history of running Smart School Councils. We're going to do a tech talk, which is all about getting to know particularly the class meeting tool. And it may even be that by the time that comes along, there'll be a bit of an element of the Home Debate Club in there as well, which is going to be, again, to Greg, joined by an expert teacher. And then we've got 2 more working titles, sort of how to get your colleagues to buy into your Smart School Council, which I'll be running in July. And then the final title we've got is about inclusion. And so how to involve the quietest, the meekest, or maybe the most vulnerable voices in a thriving sort of pupil voice culture. So that's kind of how we're pitching them. What I think, Greg, you're going to put in the comments a link to a registration form, which is just a Google form, if you want to let us know right now that if you want to come and join one or multiple amounts of these CPD courses. But yeah, the key thing for us is to stress is that they're free, they're available online, and they're there for us and our community to support teachers running their Smart School Councils. But I guess one of the things we're really keen to know is if there are any other titles, any areas, content, subjects that you can think about from your Smart School Council you'd like us to cover, because we'll do it, I guess, Greg, the theory is that we'll do as many as we possibly can if the need is out there. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's keen for it to be led by kind of what people need.
Cool. So yeah, I'm not going to wait to see the comments straight away because we've got a lot to cover. But please do fill out the form if you're interested, and you can come along. Timings are subject to change because we want to let you to know when you guys are free to do them. But the dates are pretty much there. But yeah, if you've got any ideas for what you think you'd like support with, that Greg and I or our wider community can help with, pop your question, your title, whatever it might be, in the comment box, and we'll have a look at it before the end. So that's the first thing that we wanted to share with you all. And hopefully that's an exciting thing that we'll see lots of our members joining us on for the rest of the summer term. So on my agenda then, I'm going to hand over for a little bit of a chat between Nick and Greg to share an update on Nicola's Smart School Council and some of the things that are going on. So Greg, I'm going to hand over to you.
Oh, are you nervous, Nicola? It's going to be a very serious.
Yeah.
No, so I mean, I guess we when you emailed, I think it was earlier in the week, we just wanted to kind of highlight and maybe share a bit of your story. I mean, I think you've been running for a Smart School Council for a good while now, haven't you?
Yeah, I think 3 years.
Yes, and the just the kind of sheer amount of amazing pupil leadership stuff that you share on social media and Loretto shares is really, really impressive. And so I just wondered if you could kind of tell us a bit about how you approach pupil voice and leadership in the school, and also the kind of role that Smart School Councils has in that kind of picture.
Well, I have to say that when I came on the course, it absolutely blew me away. It really transformed my thinking about the student council. Even though I'd had different roles in school, actually running the student council was something quite new for me, and I'd done it in terms of just 2 pupils from each form, and then you obviously get those pupils who don't want to be there. You get pupils, who want to do it, but there are too many pupils in their form. So the Smart School Council was perfect and kind of instantly transformed just this idea of anyone being able to attend the meetings. And we meet every week, and just this inclusivity it brought to, if you want to change things, if you want to be involved, come along on Mondays, was really, really powerful. So instantly I had a lot more pupils involved straight away. And then the idea of the leadership team, that I have said the head teacher absolutely loves, and she really, I think when you've got a head who is really supportive, and she uses them all the time. We have process that they have to fill out an application form. They have to go for an interview to be on the comms team, which really kind of ensures the right pupils are on there, and then kind of other members of staff using them around school, and I meet with them every week. So yeah, we've just had a section 48 inspection, and even though they're quite stressful, it actually allows you to see how far you've come really when you hear the pupils talking, because obviously I prepped the pupils the way you do, but they say whatever they want to, and I wasn't in the interviews, but in terms of the feedback the lead inspector gave me, it was really, really powerful. I have to say that the class meeting is something that we haven't been so strong on, to be honest. The action teams have really run themselves. I've got one member of the comms team who runs an action group, and people choose their own action groups. We have, don't know, about 10 at the moment on different issues with varying success, if I'm honest. But I just want to say that one of our action groups on climate change, they've just got us 250 trees to plant in the fall. Yeah, which was purely led by them. They went on a conference. One of the boys got talking to someone. He got their email. There was this scheme. He applied, and then I got an email the other day to say we've been successful, which is really nice. It's obviously really concrete, which will tie in with our work on mental health as well in terms of creating a peaceful space. But yes, sorry, I digress. But the class meetings, we haven't been so regular with those, and it was really interesting. Sam came to do some Brexit workshops, and then when you said you just need 1.5 term, that was really, really useful. But then we've had a change of our form time, so that's something that I need to work on. But in terms of, I think one thing to say, having a comms team, having a process that pupils put themselves forward to lead is really powerful. In terms of, I've had all sorts of pupils applying, and not the pupils who you might expect. And they could speak really well about it. And in the interview on the inspection day, I chose pupils who had just joined, who had been involved for years. And it was really nice that one of the boys who had just joined said to me, it's just really good, anything that we want to do, they're all our ideas. It's just kind of trying to get help to do it. And it was really nice hearing him say that back. You speak constantly about how you want them to be free in their thinking, to follow whatever avenue or interest they want to. And I kind of think that that's really starting to happen now.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. Thank you, Nick. That's really good to hear about kind of what you've been up to, and also just a big congratulations on the inspection. It's like you said, it sounds like a stressful event to participate in, and I guess if it provides one of those moments of reflection to see how far you've come, and that you can see how amazing your leadership group and action teams are working, and that's brilliant. So well done. And also, I guess maybe what we need to do is to ask you to come along to our action team. If we do an action team mini CPD, then maybe we could explore how you've managed to set them up so well in your school, because I'd really like to dig down a bit more into the ingredients of how you've managed that, because I think we've seen in some of the comments on Facebook, is some people find the class meetings super easy but then struggle a bit more with the action team. So if you're up for that, maybe you can come on again at some point. I'd love to kind of ask you a bunch of questions about that, because I think other teachers would really benefit from it, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so I just had one more question before we moved on, Sam. If that's okay, I'm not going to get told off.
Not right now, no.
Okay. So I guess it was just about any tips that you felt. I guess maybe let's if you could share one tip about generating genuine pupil leadership as a kind of preview of your mini CPD that I'm going to ask you to do. What would it be? What would you like to tell schools or other teachers?
That at first, pupils need a little bit more guiding than you perhaps want to give them. And I think at first I had too high an expectation in terms of them being able to organise you know, whether it be a notice board or an event, well, not a whole event, but kind of a small part of an event. And what I've started to do is to give them lists of actions that they could take. They don't have to, they can totally ignore it, but then they find that they pick and choose. So giving them a little bit of guidance, but also giving them a platform as well. I'm really keen to get them to email the head teacher to tell them what they've done. And she shares that, and then they get a lot of praise. And it's like, oh, well, actually, this is really good because, you know, I've got all these members of staff coming to speak to me. So, yeah, sharing their success as well.
Okay, great. I'm going to treat that as a trailer for your more in-depth chat. But yeah, I think that's a really kind of powerful tip. So yeah, thank you very much for answering my questions. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Nick, I'm just going to flash up on the screen Dawn's question, because I think maybe you might be able to help very quickly just to finish that segment on. She says, how do you keep the school council running? We find it difficult at times. The year starts off really well, but then wanes a bit as it goes on. And I think that Dawn is not an uncommon experience. You know, I have that conversation with teachers quite a lot. So yeah, anything on that, Nick, to finish off?
Yeah. I have 4 big drop-down days that kind of galvanise the pupils if they want to become involved. So we have a Diversity Day, International Men's Day, International Women's Day, and Mental Health Week. And around those 4 issues, it kind of, outside the action groups, pupils can work on those as well. And I find that the issue-based and the point in terms of we're aiming for this day, the 8th of March, for International Women's Day, we're working on this event. They really like that. They really like an endpoint. But when things are just, they're in the action group, it can sometimes lose a momentum, and you have to shake it up. And at the end of every term, they can change action groups. You know, they can work on something else, because you find that they do get bored as well.
Yeah, I think that makes absolute sense. I think that's a really smart suggestion. And yeah, from visiting Loreto, I know exactly how that works, and seeing the sort of how much fruit and enthusiasm that your students have for it, for sort of tying your sort of pupil voice moments to these bigger celebrations, these bigger events. That's a really good idea. And yeah, just to confirm to you out there, it seems to be a common theme that an action team training or CPD sort of element should be a part of this summer series that we're going to be run. So yeah, please rest assured that we'll definitely take that feedback on board, and we'll be adding in a date to do that. And then Nick, we'll talk about your fee later on. About 3 beers, that's right with you? Wine, something like that?
Perfect.
See, if you do it when you're live on Facebook, you can't say no.
Can we just say one more thing?
Yeah, please, of course.
A lot of our partner primaries have also signed up to Smart School Council as a result of us going in and saying this is what we do. So it's about them being used to it at primary, then going to secondary, and it's like, oh, it's the same system. Yeah. So sorry, just one thing.
Yeah, no, that's again a really valuable point. I think we see a similar connection between the secondary and primaries with Burnage Academy for Boys, who've got a really good relationship with their primaries, who also do Smart School Councils. And I think that sort of whole through approach makes a massive difference. So yeah, that's a really, really valuable point. Well, that was great. I enjoyed that bit. Don't know about the rest of you out there. But we're going to sort of change gears just for the sort of the final-ish bit of our meetup to talk a little bit more about Home Debate Club. And now it's going to be a bit more of the other diagonal of conversations. We've had Greg and Nick across that way. Now it's going to be me and Mum across this way on the screen. So yeah, changing gears, Home Debate Club. Hopefully lots of you out there will know what Home Debate Club is, and all of the intense and amazing amount of work that Greg and I and you guys are putting into helping us develop this initiative. Tracy, you're going to start off by summarizing what Home Debate Club is, because Greg and I talk too much. So yeah, what's Home Debate Club?
Okay, so it's a platform where children can debate with a partner at home in these days of lockdown. and they can choose either at least one person or a few others to debate with, and you lead them through that half-hour debate by posing them sentence starters, and then they get to choose and vote on a particular question. Then they can see digitally the results of that question straight away, and then you do a few warm-up exercises, a few well-being exercises to engage the children in questions of their day, which is a super thing to do.
Yeah, that was a really good summary. Marks out of 10 for that one, Greg.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, so just to complement what Tracy said there, so it is about saying that, as we've started saying in the trial that we did on Wednesday, everybody is getting their say on this period of crisis, apart from young people who often get their voices heard principally through schools, and the schools are closed. It can be very easy for them to feel a little bit left behind. So Home Debate Club is a way of encouraging families principally to engage their young people, let them lead a debate, lead a conversation, trying to compartmentalize how they feel about the world around them right now. So to update you, we've had another trial this week. We had both primary and secondary trials on Wednesday this week, 2 o'clock for primary and 3 o'clock for secondary. And I think they went very well. Thank you very much for those of you who attended and have given us even more incredible feedback. Greg is going to put a link in the comments to the Home Debate Club website now, which if you're only hearing about it for the first time in this Facebook Live, click onto the website, go on to past sessions, click on either primary or secondary, depending upon your professional interest, and then have a look at the trial that we ran on Wednesday. You can get a sense of how they work and what we're trying to do with young people in the home. Sarah Jane, that's amazing. Yeah. So we're going to talk at the end of this segment about what the next steps for the trial are going to be. But we'll be hopefully we're not too far away from what you're suggesting, which is asking you as our member teachers to contact your families to get them involved in running home debates very, very soon. So that sounds great, Sarah Jane. Thank you for that. We're one more trial, I think, away from that stage, though, aren't we, Greg? And we're going to talk about that at the end. But first, Tracy, some thoughts from you. So we've developed the practice over the last week, and we want to get your thoughts on some of the things we've changed. So the first I'm going to ask you about is the length of the debate, and also for you guys listening at home or in school, wherever you are, if you could answer with your thoughts to these questions as well, we'd love to hear it, and Greg will highlight those in the comments box. So the first trial we did was a 3-minute debate. The second trial we did was a 5-minute debate. And we're trying to get a sense of what's the right amount of time to ask families to discuss. So, yeah, Tracy, what do you think?
I think I'm going to build on what Nick has said earlier. Particularly for primary school children, the need to model is essential. Now, if you start off with a 5-minute where you are modeling as you're going, it allows the children then to use those sentence starters to debate with others and to actually build a model for themselves and the people at their home. I would think that after you've run this for quite a while, you may well get to a 3-minute debate. But to start with, I think primary children particularly, they need that thinking time. They need to think, how are they going to ask their questions? What questions are they going to ask? And also, interestingly, you're building their skills by giving them sentence starters, which moves the debate on. And that will need a little bit of time as well until they get used to it. So definitely to start for primary, I'm not so sure about secondary, but that modelling and giving them thinking time. By the time a small child comes up with 2 questions, then ask them, then reflect on them, and then bounce another question off that, you're talking about 5 minutes completely. Okay,
those are really interesting thoughts. I know I haven't prepped you for this, Nick, but I just want to bounce to you quickly, if that's okay. Just say that from a secondary perspective, do you have a view on how long we should be doing home debates for?
I think maybe a little bit shorter. Did you say 3 minutes as an option? Well, yeah, I would say 3 minutes really. I would agree that it would need to be modelled in the first instance, but yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Nick. Sorry, I just noticed, Mum, with the way you were answering it, was that the very sort of with your experience as primary. So I thought I'd jump to Nick for a view on secondary. But yeah, it looks like that lots of the people's comments here talk about 5 minutes. I know that Susan, you're mentioning it 5 minutes felt a bit long. It's one of those funny things, I think, where I don't think we're going to be able to sort of please everybody, but it's about the way in which it's done and making sure that I think it's probably better to have too long than for it to be too short. But I think the way you've structured it is really, really interesting. Cool. So that's my first question. And again, thank you guys out there for responding. My second question is the one that Greg and I are most, that we spend the most amount of our time considering. And it's this. So in the first week, Greg and I were a bit loose and spent way too much time talking, but maybe was quite fun. And then in the second trial, we went out of our way to make it like a lesson, and maybe we're a bit too robotic, but all of the components that you'd expect to see in a lesson, a hook and engage, all that kind of stuff were there. And I think it was better as a result. But some of the feedback we got from some schools was that actually the second one felt too much like a lesson, and that meant that some of their young people, in this case it was primary young people, found it hard to engage. So yeah, again, Mum, like, what are we thinking about this tension between lesson style? What's it going to look like?
It's a very tricky question, because when you want to engage children in their home, and when you want to engage their voice, you want them to feel comfortable with that. And you don't want it to feel like a lesson time, do you? You want them to feel that they are in charge. You want them to feel that their opinions are valued and respected and are aired. I will still go back to the point that primary children need modelling. So what I would suggest is that it can't be a one size fits all. And also it'll be a learning process. Once they see the model, you will be able to allow them to just go, particularly with the smaller children. Once they see the pattern, then you and Greg can step back. But I would suggest that for the first couple, that modelling is essential. But I do think it's really tricky. You're also depending on the children that you get engaging with you and how much support those children might need. And so I don't think there is a yes/no answer to this. I think it will be something that's more organic as you're moving along.
Okay. Damn, there was me hoping for a yes, no, simple, straightforward answer, but okay, fair enough. No, I take your point completely. I think on that sort of modelling point, again, as it's come up quite a lot in the comments, we are working from the assumption, which I think is the right one, which you can't presume that the majority of families or parents are going to be able to model to their children. Now, we've been testing this with teachers, and you guys are all fantastic at this because you're trained and you're professionals. But the heavier, I guess, it is in the right way from Greg and I, when we structure it, I think the better it's going to be. But I think
why those sentence starters are so important, particularly for the younger children. And those sentence structures allow them then to build their debating tool, which, don't forget, a lot of children who've never engaged with this before will actually need to build their own confidence. They'll need to build how to debate, how to answer, what to go on to ask next, how to challenge somebody politely. So all those things are modelling tools, which once they've got, they would absolutely love it.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense to me, and I think there's a lot of agreement with what you're saying out there in the world as well, Mum. So yeah, that makes sense. So conscious of time here, so yeah, the conclusions to draw are tricky on that one. I think that it sounds like from what people are saying, we're on the right path with structuring and modelling, but maybe Greg, for you and I, it's a bit more about making sure that we include a bit of our natural sort of fun interpretation at the same time, and we aren't sort of thinking that we're being Ofsteded while we're doing it. Does that make sense to you, Greg?
Yeah, I think so. I think we kind of need to remember that, you know, the second run through was a kind of reaction to the first, where we kind of just sat and chatted for ages, and the feedback was like, guys, you need to have a bit of structure to this. So then when we've reacted that and created a really like focused script, and you know, I think Sam's done a great job at that. But then, you know, it just takes time to make that natural. It's like a lesson. If you just read out a lesson, it probably would be a bit dry. So I think we're finding, like you say, we're on the right path, and we're finding our feet with it. And yeah, I just think it's partly about practice.
Can I just say one more thing? Because I can really see that after all these horrible days are over, this could become a really good tool for classroom-based debating as well. And I had a chat to our Year 6 teacher, and she was very excited about it, because really taking those principles of debate then into the classroom directly from a tool like classroom debate, from home debate to classroom debate, I could see that really, really working really well.
Mum, save that thought for 3 weeks' time when Greg and I are thinking about what happens next, okay? And we'll come back. But yeah, no, that is something that we're considering. Is when there's a bit of normality again, Home Debate Club is going to be part of the Smart School Council's suite, and so we're going to be looking at how we can integrate it a bit more then, and what that might look like. So yeah, that's a really interesting thing for us to consider. But there is, I just wanted to pick up on one comment, if that's okay. So I'm going to put it back on the screen. So Sarah Jane, I seem to be picking on you a lot, but I really appreciate all the comments. You've talked about sort of there being a link for the trials, so parents and other people can know what it looks like before the event. So you can look at the past sessions on the website, get a sense of them. What we've also talked about, which was Colin, another member teacher, his idea, which is about there being like a short video at the start to explain what it is. So there's less Greg and I talking. And maybe we've talked about that, Greg, haven't we? About whether that could be an addition or something like that. It's a nice to have right now. It's not going to be something we're going to be able to do soon, but it's definitely something that we're looking at. Any comments on that, Greg?
No, but I think the suggestion from the elusive Colin, if you're watching, we hope to get you on here one week. We're trying 2 weeks in a row, but we haven't managed it. So hello, and thank you for your suggestions. Yeah, I think you can imagine just a really short 30-second explainer, like this is how it works, so that if we had that when the debate started, it could just be like, bam, here we go. Right, we don't need to kind of explain what it is every week. But at this stage, we don't have that. It's difficult to film explainers at the moment. And so I think just a kind of quick, snappy introduction, it works for me.
Cool, great, thanks. So last question on Home Debate Club, and then we're going to talk about what our next steps are with the project and what we're going to be trying to do next week, and hopefully everybody that's been commenting out there can help us out with that. So last question, this is come back to you again, Mum. So there's been some discussion about how we can get schools involved with the setting of questions or answer options for the Home Debate Club. Have you got any views on that and how you think that might work?
I think that's an excellent idea. I think having worked with children, all of us, for so many years, they come up with questions that we would never think of as adults. And what you'll then have is you'll have the child framing the question, which has so much more meaning to them. And also, they are concerned about things that we overlook. So it's very important in the voice of the child and the voice of the pupil to have them set in questions. It would be a simple operation of asking children what they think and what they'd like to ask about the particular circumstances of lockdown, and see what they come up with. And I think we would probably be surprised at the things that matter to them that maybe we are overlooking.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think that's definitely something that we'll try and look at over the next week or so, Greg, and how we can do that in a simple and easy way for you as our member schools to be able to sort of share that with young people. So yeah, that's definitely at the forefront of our thoughts as well, and is very interesting. So with all of this in mind, and it is really exciting, and hopefully you guys feel excited about it at home as well. Greg, could you just give us a quick sentence or two about what we're planning on doing next week and how people can get involved?
Sure. Okay. And I'm aware that, Nick, you may not have seen Home Debate Club at all, so I'm sorry that you've got no idea what's going on. But this might be your opportunity to get involved. So we the website's now live at homedebateclub.com, and we've got a primary and secondary debate lined up for next Wednesday. One of the things that we've done is move the primary debate till kind of mid-morning snack time. I'm with a 6-year-old who, like, trying to get Freya to get involved in a debate at kind of 2ish in the afternoon. It wasn't happening, so we thought we'd shift it till mid-morning snack time. So we would ask, and the secondary one is, I think at the moment is it 4 or 4:30, Sam?
I think the idea was that we would start it for 4 o'clock on Wednesday.
Yeah, we're kind of aware that we want to get as many adults and children together to discuss, and that's going to mean different things at primary and secondary level. And so what we're asking, anybody who's on this members meetup or has taken part in any of the testing or sent us any feedback about Home Debate Club, we'd like you to ask one class in your school or form group, just one class to participate. And this will be the first time that we're opening it out to families who don't have a teacher present. So we want to try and get some feedback from families and parents and carers and young people at that stage, basically before we say to everybody, would you like to join in? Because I think it's whilst it's very tempting to say, guys, everybody, why don't you join in? This is amazing. We want to keep improving, and the feedback of people like Tracy who've been really, really helpful, and lots of others who are on today's call has been incredible. So that's the ask. One class from your school or group of pupils. If you would like to get involved, it's up to you. We're not going to kind of set any restrictions or give you any advice on how to do that. But ultimately, then the instructions to those families would be to visit homedebateclub.com and check out when the debates are, and they'll be next Wednesday. So yeah, a single class. Sorry, that was quite a long speech, but that's what we're asking for.
That's okay, Greg. That's perfect. Thank you. So yeah, just to reiterate, on Monday morning, first thing, I will send out an email to everybody that wants to be interested with instructions that they can send out to their families, to parents, whomever, as to how to access it for primary at 10:30 on Wednesday morning, for secondary at 4 p.m. on Wednesday afternoon. So we do a bit of an indication. If you want to get involved, would be amazing. So if you can either say, like Richard has or Emma has, yes, sounds good, or just comment with the word yes, then we can make a note that you want to be involved with this, and then we will include you in the email that we send round on first thing on Monday morning. So yeah, that's our next steps, and it's going to be exciting, and there's going to be an easy way for us for young people and their families to give us their feedback in a form that's way less complicated than the ones that you guys have been filling out with us so far. So yeah, let us know straight away if you wouldn't be so kind, so we know who to email, and then stay up to date with what both and with Home Debate Club on our Twitter, through the emails that we send out. Greg and I, we try to be as contactable as we possibly can, so we're pretty much always around. So yeah, those are our next steps, and we'd love for as many people as possible to get involved. Cool. I think that's everything. Are we going to be joined by Freya for the finish today, Greg? Is she going to sing us a song, or is she busy?
Let me just check.
Okay, we're going to wait for a second to get some more comments from you guys, and then we'll see if Freya's going to come and sing us a song. I told Freya a secret this morning in one of our meetings because she invades Greg and I's morning briefings. And I said to her, I'll tell you a secret about my childhood, Freya, but please don't tell anybody else. And she told everybody in the household within 5 minutes. So there we go. I have learned a lesson about engaging with 5-year-olds that I won't forget. But yeah, great to see lots of comments coming in, folks. Thank you very much. And here she is. Over to you.
What song are you going to sing today? Or are you just going to do funny faces?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. 2 funny faces, then we'll have to finish. Okay. The first one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
And the second one.
Oh yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
For the first one, Freya.
Thank you, Freya. It wouldn't be a Smart School Council's members meetup without you. So yeah, thank you very much. Andrea, she's not going to tell you my secret, no matter how many times you ask. I promise you, it's not going to happen. So there we are. Right. Okay. I think that's going to be everything from us today. Again, thank you so much for your time, everybody. It's amazing. I think it makes me feel a lot better during this period of uncertainty to have these chats with you all every week and find out how our members are getting on, and just to know that some of the things that Greg and I are working hard on are making a bit of a difference, and hopefully helping you and your communities too. So yeah, that's everything from me. Anything from anybody else on the panel? I like saying that. Around anything else? No,
Just
that's great.
Big thanks to Tracy and
Thank
Nick
you.
for coming on.
It's
Yeah, as Sam said, it's been great to hear from you, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nick. Yeah, it's great to see you again, and great to know everything is going up in Loretto High School. Mum, I will chat to you probably on the weekend. Yeah, that's the thing that we'll do. All right, thanks very much, folks. See you soon.